Good morning, church. Wow, I got fancy. So good to see you this morning. I want to turn to a neighbor and say, so good to see you this morning. Must say with a sincere heart, like, so good to see you this morning. My name is Charlotte. For those who do not know, I have kids. Maybe I look young, but I have two kids. So I have two kids, and one is 6 years old, and his name is Eli. The other one is Nathan, and Nathan is 2 years old. So if you know people who have two boys, you know that they can be a bit rough, and their toys are very masculine per se. So my boys, they love dinosaurs. They love Jurassic Park and then love the whole series, all kinds of Jurassic dinosaurs. So in my house, I have the miniature of the dinosaurs from the smallest one to the biggest one. What they do usually, they will take out all the dinosaur toys and then they will role play, they will see which T-Rex is stronger, and then they will fight one another with the T-Rex toys. So among all these toys, they have their preference. They have their preferred dinosaur. How many of you know dinosaur names other than T-Rex? Other than T-Rex, you know other dinosaur name? If you're a mom of boys, probably you know. Okay, other than T-Rex, the one with the short hands, there are other dinosaurs. There's one with long neck, we call it the Brontosaurus. And then I have the one that with the horns, 3 horns, called Triceratops. Wow, yes, I found somebody who knows the name. I only know the names because I have 2 boys. So they love T-Rex, of course, because T-Rex is the strongest. So each of them, Nathan has his T-Rex and Eli has his T-Rex. And then they will have one of the weaker dinosaur, the one with the long neck, because it doesn't have the spike, it doesn't have any weapon, but it is big, it has long neck. So to them, this is the dinosaur that to be protected. While the T-Rex is the fighting one. At night, all the dinosaur toys will be laid out on the floor. They'll put up a bed with blanket to make sure all the dinosaurs will be sleeping on the nest. And the T-Rex, their favorite T-Rex, will have a special place. They'll have blanket one. The rest is just laying on there. But the T-Rex, their T-Rex will be there with blanket, with bed sheets, with everything, and they will cover. Good night to the T-Rex. Good night. What am I saying this? They are little boys, but they know how to separate out their favorite. They label their preference. They label out which one is their preferred one. And this is around the same concept like how God chose us and labeled us as His own. That we are, metaphorically, we are God's favorite T-Rex. We are God's selected one. When we first come to know Christ, we accepted Jesus, responded to the faith that He has given to us. We tell God, God, we want to believe in you, that it will be our Lord, our Savior. At that moment, we're being justified by His blood. But does it mean that we live like a holy saint? No. After that prayer, right, we still make mistakes. We're still being tempted by the sin. We still have bad habits. But it is a lifelong process for us to be sanctified, to be set apart. Sanctification, it means that we set ourselves apart for God, for God's purpose, for God's glory. This morning, we're going to look into Abraham's life, looking at his life and how we can learn from him to set apart our life for God. Thank you, Elaine. But before we start, shall we pray? Jesus, we want to thank you, Lord, because of your blood we are justified, and because of your Spirit that we are sanctified every day. Lord, I pray as we listen to your word, as we study the life of Abraham, teach us, O God, guide us, O God, cleanse us, O God, so that we can choose again and again to be set apart for you and for you only. In Jesus' name we pray, and everybody say, Amen, amen. Let us take a look at Romans chapter 12. Paul put it up very beautifully, what it means to be set apart for God. Romans chapter 12, verse 1 to 12. Not 12, 1 to 2, okay. 1 to 2. Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, by the mercy of God, to present your bodies. I love this translation because it breaks it out the meaning. Dedicating all of yourself, set apart as a living sacrifice, holy and well-pleasing to God, which is a rational, logical, intelligent act of worship. It means our act of worship is not just singing with our lips. If we sing all this song, oh God, I want to choose to be holy and etc., we are not living it out. All of the songs will be just like the songs that I sing in karaoke. It will be just lip service. It says here, only when we present our bodies, we dedicate our lives, and this will be our act of service, our act of worship to God. And let us continue with the verse. And do not be conformed to this world any longer with its superficial values and customs, but be transformed and progressively changed. And be progressively changed as you mature spiritually by renewing of your mind, focusing on godly values and ethical attitudes, so that you may prove for yourself what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect in His plan and purpose for you. Everybody say transform. Okay, I just want to make sure that you guys are awake. Say transform. And say progressively changed. That means if the neighbor who is sitting next to you don't find the person loving or forgiving, it is okay because it is a process where you'll be progressively changed, transformed. And sometimes all of our journeys are different. Some people can change overnight, quit cigarettes overnight, quit bad habits overnight. Some people take a long time to change, but it's okay. This is the house of God, and we know that we are all in the journey of being changed and transformed by God. Amen? So if your friends or whoever that is sitting next to you offended you, just remember we are all work in progress. And can you turn to your neighbor and say, you are a work in progress? A.W. Tozer says this, sanctification is not an experience. It is God's claim upon us to set ourselves apart for His holy purpose. So that means being set apart for God, it means that we are being put up as there's a reserve labels on us, that we are being chosen by God, we are being selected by God, and we are being reserved by God. And thus, if you know this truth, you will not act like normal. If you know that you are the Son of God, you will not walk like you are just a beggar. Because you know your position, and you will not treat this commonly, ordinarily. And being holy is a privilege and honor that we should embrace wholeheartedly. So what do we do if we want to set ourselves apart? What do we do if we want to set ourselves apart? That means we need to stop indulging in the bad habits and the things that doesn't please God anymore. Let us look at Abraham's story. Okay, I'll go right into the story so that somebody will not fall asleep. But I'll just have 3 points, and I have 3 stories today. First, to set ourselves apart for God, we must distance ourselves from the sin that can easily ensnare us. To set ourselves apart for God, we must distance ourselves from the sin that can easily ensnare us. In Genesis chapter 12, verse 1 to 3. Okay, this is the part where God called Abraham. During that time, his name was Abram. He was residing in Ur. And then now the Lord said to Abram, go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you. And I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and him who dishonors you I will curse, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Let's take a look at this verse. Go from your country. Go for your country and your kindred and your father's house. Last time when I read this, I was thinking, oh, everybody is talking about how great his faith is, how great Abraham's faith. I was thinking, God is just calling him to somewhere else. How hard could that be? I mean, if I ask Arthur, can you go to Galugo for a while? Or go to somewhere for a while? Maybe he will go because he trusts me. But what's so great about this? So I was thinking, okay, I do not want to reveal my age, but a very long time ago when I was a kid, that time there's no internet. That time the phone doesn't have GPS. That time the phone doesn't even connect to the internet. That time when we want to connect to internet, right, on our PC, when you connect to internet, other people cannot call anymore. Once they pick up the telephone, it'll be like, okay, you remember that? Okay, thank you. I found the people same age. All this, you're very young. Experience before? No? 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 Phone? Okay. So when I was young, my dad loves to bring us, the whole family, to travel. I'm from JB, and I have my fellow high school friends there sitting there, and then she's from JB as well. Whoa, got fancy. Okay, but that time, my dad loves to travel, and he brought us, the whole family, from JB to Malacca to KL to Ipoh to Sungai Petani to Penang. And we love all this. And then I cannot really think how hard it is until now when I think back. At that time, he doesn't have the Waze. How does he know where to go? So I remember when I was a kid, when I was in his car, we were traveling around. I remember that he pulled out the map. Have anyone seen real map before? Gone. Okay, thank you. Yes, real map, really real map. Like he was tracing which highway that we are supposed to go. Okay, just now I mentioned a few places. From JB to Penang, it's like 8 hours of journey. And then we going different stops or different places, doing the tourist thing. And then, now I don't even know how to go from my house to Jelutong. Hey, you don't laugh, really? I need to Waze it, and then I need to find which is the best route to avoid traffic, and then to find which way is the fastest, or where is Jelutong. If I want to travel to Bario, have you heard of this place before? Bario? Somebody say yes, somebody say no. It is in Malaysia. But it is not in Penang State. You can, if you took out your phone to Google it, yeah, you know my point exactly. We don't know where is it, and then we'll need to Google, and then we need to Waze it. But that time, Abraham doesn't have Waze, doesn't have internet at all. And God said, hey, you need to go out from your father's place. You need to go to a place, don't know where, that I will give you that place to you and your family. And then suddenly I was like, oh, wow, he doesn't have internet, he doesn't have Yellow Page. You know what Yellow Page is? Wow, I like Kenneth because my age. Okay, Yellow Page, this place looks so blurred. Yellow Page is where it records different shops, phone number, and etc. He doesn't have all this, and yet he can just pack up his bag. When he hit the call, he go. Now you think, wow, that's quite tough. Now let's say if God called you to go to a place called Bario per se. You start to Google, wow, is this even in Malaysia? What language are they using? Wow, do I know anybody near the place? Is it even in, okay, you know where Bario is? Bario is in which state? Sarawak. Okay, in Sarawak got internet or not? Wow, got boat or not? Got car or not? Got Grab or not? Hey, seriously, this is a question that I asked before. Wow, Bario got Grabs or not? Oh, got Grab, then if no Grab, then I need to go out and get food? I'll ask all these questions, but he just go. But why was it so hard for him to leave that place? Why was it so hard to leave that? I want to give you a little bit of context because I want to tell you how hard is it to leave and go. And metaphorically, sometimes this is like us. Spiritually, it's very hard for us to leave a place that we are so familiar and so much evil that was dwelling in it. So when Abram, during that time, his name, he needs to leave that place. That place is full of people who worship the pagans. The pagans, maybe I can just tell you guys a few examples of the gods that they were worshiping. One of the gods his name is called Baal. Baal, B-A-A-L, Baal. So this god, right, from the locals, from the Canaanites, they worship this god because this god guarantee rains. He's a god of rain, thunder, lightning, fertility, and etc., etc. So this god, if you worship him, if he protects you, if he jaga you, you will get the rain. And during that time, agriculture is their main way of getting their food and their money and etc. So in order to have harvest at the crops, they will need the rain. They need the sun, they need the rain, they need the fertilizer, right? To ensure there is harvest. So if I'm a Hebrew and I want to do farming as my main job, I need to know for sure what is the way to success. So I will go to, maybe the locals, the neighbor come and tell me who is a local Canaanite. Hey, you go and worship this god. His name is called Baal. And then once you worship him, he'll rain for you and your crops and you get the harvest. I put in our modern context. Now, we got a Cai Shen Ye over there. Just go there and pray, take the incense and then you're guaranteed 4 numbers that guarantee total that gives you 100 million jackpot. 100 million. Your heart got, move a bit or not? If you go there, you touch this Cai Shen Ye, God of fortune, guarantees you 100 million. Wow. So, the Israelites at that time, they compromised. They were thinking, okay, since that's the local practice to worship this God, then let this God in. I want to tell you that in my probably worshiping God is like, worshiping the idols is like taking the incense and then go there, bye, and then burn the paper and etc. But during that time, the pagan worship rituals is not like that. How do they worship their god Baal? They'll go to the high places like mountain. They'll build out the altar over there. I'm going to say this, but don't judge me. But so that their priests will take up all the offerings on the altar. They will call whoever that is willing or their priestess to go there on the altar and have sex. Charlotte say this on the stage. Yes, they will have bisexual orgies. It's a boy, girl, sexual interactions on the altar as a sacrifice to God. And then they will bring up their babies, burned alive, on the altar. And this is the pagan worship. And then you've been thinking, wow, so morally so corrupted, how would they still continue to do this? We put it in the modern context. I put a modern lens in it. You're thinking, wow, the order, they were having sex on it. So scary, right? But I wanted to take a moment to think on that view of this sexual morality. Where can we see it in our world? Google it. OnlyFans has it. YouTube has it. Most of the website, some ads has it. Some of our social media have it. Some of our Netflix movies have it. Some of my TVB dramas have it. They have all this in the name of art. But you get to see it. So it was very hard for those people to come out from that pagan worship because first, it guarantees success. Oh, God, rain. My crops can grow. And wow, this is God of fertility. I want to expand my family. I want to have kids. I worship this God. So they have multiple gods in their mind. Second, because all these rituals, they take pleasure in it. They like it. I tell you, if sin is not fun, is not enjoyable, it will be very easy for us to just get away. Right? Right? Because we get to enjoy all this, we get to indulge in those pleasures. And thus, it was very hard for us to get away. And we all have that. How does it look like? Pagan worship in our modern days. You'll probably say, oh, Charlotte, I only go to church. I don't worship or go to other temples. How is it relevant to us? You know, the pagan worships, it could look different form, but the way to tempt us is pretty similar. It could be us blindly following worldly values that promise success. That means if the world tells us, just do the corruption, the under table money, nobody will know. This is the way to do trade. This is the way. Wow, I saw somebody laughing. I think he knows what I'm talking about. You just, the money just give. We'll do one. Then you'll get success. You'll get the deals. You'll get PO. Wow, PO. Salesperson say, oh, don't say amen, please. Then you'll get the PO, you get the deals. Blindly following the worldly values of success. Secondly, how does it look like in our modern days? Engaging in sexual immorality that seems normalized. I want to tell you guys this story, but please don't tell my mom. Okay, my family is not a believer when I was young. Then when I was entering high school, my mom told me, hey, I know you go into high school already. Everybody grows up. And I'm a very modern mother. I know the world is like that. So if you want to have a boyfriend, just make sure don't be pregnant. Can play. But don't be pregnant. Don't get pregnant. It will bind you forever. So, be careful. I was in high school, right? And I was shocked how come my mom would say this. But this is like the reality. This has been normalized. If you ask around in the high schools and etc., the age where they lose their virginity, you'll be shocked. This has been normalized. We have seen movies that how the high schoolers or how the younger kids they get into relationship that let loose of themselves, they explore their freedom, and all of this is not pleasing God in God's eye at all. But this has been normalized. When I was young and I was first believed in Jesus Christ, and I took out the Bible and talk about sexual immorality, talk about fornication, in my mind I'm thinking, why this God so outdated one? Is it because it's written 2,000 years ago? Does the value still apply? Yes, it does still apply. And I only know it or learn it or encounter God later that time, how important it is for us to be set apart for God. In the world that all the sin and all the sexual immorality has been normalized in this world, it is tough. So all the things that look like the pagan worship, it transforms in a form that we cannot recognize anymore because we are in it. And all of this, the pagan worship per se, it is hard to live because it catered for our own desire and our benefits. So in a sense that we can do, there are people who say, in the name of love and freedom, we can do whatever we want. We can have sex with whoever we want, whatever gender it is, and we can do whatever we want as long as it benefits us. The world is telling us, you matter. You are the best. You are who you are. Don't change anything. Your success is the most important. And maybe sometimes we cannot recognize that voice. And that's why it was hard for us to live, because we don't even know where to live and how to live. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 22 to 23, how do we separate ourselves from sin? In verse 22, it says, abstain from every form of evil. Now may the God of peace himself sanctify you completely, and may your whole spirit and soul and body be kept blameless at the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. It says abstain. It means you flee. It means, I like the other translation, it says that any appearance of sin. Abstain from any appearance of sins. That means you don't even have to touch it. You look at it, you feel, wow, this one cannot. This one don't look like honoring God. Run away. Run away first, because you might not be able to get out from there. So run away. And many Christians actually cannot really fully follow Christ because we still want to hold on to the relationship, to the sinful relationship and sin. That's why when Jesus said in Matthew chapter 5, if your eyes do you harm, offend us, you need to pluck it out. Of course, this is hyperbole. That means it's an exaggeration. It's saying if anything that's causing you to sin, run, abstain, get away, flee. Second point. Let us go to the second point. To set ourselves apart for God, we must go through tests of obedience and surrender. Just now we mentioned about Abraham's life, where he go away from a place that is full of pagan worship, have that faith, believe in God that God will bring him to a place where he can worship God. And now we have to know that every lesson that you learn from God, he'll put a test, because so that our faith can be tested, we know for sure that we have learned this lesson. To set ourselves apart, we must go through the test of obedience and surrender. I'm going to tell you guys this story that happens in Abraham. And I really love this story because I find that this is a true test of obedience. So this story happens when there were conflicts within the region. There were many kings in that region, in the northern and southern region. So there are 5 kings that form an ally. They want to fight against the other 4 kings that is in the other part of the country. So these 5 kings and 4 kings, 5 kings and 4 kings. The name, I don't want to bore you with the names because I cannot remember as well. The 5 kings and the 4 kings, remember? So among these 5 kings and these 4 kings, one of them is a king from Sodom. The other one is from Gomorrah. So these happened when Sodom and Gomorrah was not destroyed yet. They have a conflict, and they want to, these 2 parts of the region, they are fighting against one another. So these 5 kings are quite strong. They fight. And then they captured all the possessions and the people, the captives from these 4 countries, among the people that they have captured, one of them is Lot. And everybody say Lot. Okay, because he is also one of the main role for this story. So Lot, he is Abraham's nephew. He's Abraham's nephew. So after this war, the 5 kings and the 4 kings, right? The 4 kings, Sodom and Gomorrah, the kings from Sodom and Gomorrah and 2 other countries, they were defeated, and the 2 kings ran away. And a few persons that ran away from that fight went to Abraham. Tell Abraham, Abraham, your nephew Lot is being captured. Wow. What did Abraham do? Revenge lah. What did he do? So he gathered his people, 318 trained army. Wow, he brought up his katang and all the weapons, and then he want to go on a rescue operation. Go and fight and fight and fight. You know the 4 kings formed together. They cannot fight and defeat the 5 kings. He won. And he rescued Lot and took back the possessions from the 5 kings. Wow, to me, I feel this is such a victory, because the 4 kings cannot defeat these 5 kings. They're so strong, and yet he and those 318 army, right, soldiers or his servants fought and won. Here's the interesting part. Let us go to Genesis chapter 14, verse 17 and 24. So with all that story happened, he won the victory, and then he came back to his home place. And his home place is dwell among the Sodom and Gomorrah. And the king came. So the enemy took all, verse 17, please. We have the 17? Yes. After his return from the defeat of Chedorlaomer, and the kings were with them, the king of Sodom went out to meet him at the valley of Shaveh, that is King's Valley. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. Sounds like Holy Communion. Really. So when he came back, Abraham and his servants and his soldiers and everything that he has brought back, he came back to his home place. And these 2 kings came out to greet him. One is the king from Sodom. Okay? The other one is a king from Salem. Hard to remember the name? Salem, you know, Jerusalem, Salem. Yeah, it's the same Salem. So this king Salem, his name is called Melchizedek. These 2 kings came and welcomed him. But these 2 kings offer 2 different things. Let us see what Melchizedek did. Verse 18, and Melchizedek, king of Salem. Salem means peace, righteous. Okay? Brought out bread and wine, and he was a priest of God Most High. That means he worshipped the same God as Abraham. And he blessed him and said, blessed be Abraham by God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth. Verse 20, and blessed be the God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. And Abraham gave him 1/10 of everything. There are 3 things. Did I say 2? 3 things that we can observe from here. When the king Salem came out and greeted him, he first blessed him. Bless him in the name of God Most High. Second thing, what did he do? He credited and he acknowledged that this victory is brought by God. Brought by God, not Abraham. And the third thing is Abraham's response in worship by giving tithe. Okay? I want to delve into this a little bit, because when the king Salem came here, and first he blessed, and then he told them the credit goes to God. And then Abraham's response is to worship God. Okay? So this is first set. The first king who came and greeted him, this is the first set of response. Let us go to the subsequent verses. Verse 21, this is King Sodom. And the king of Sodom said to Abram, give me the persons, but take the goods for yourself. But Abram said to the king of Sodom. I've lifted my hand to the Lord, God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth, that I will not take a thread or a sandal strap or anything that is yours, lest you should say, I have made Abram rich, and I will take nothing but what the young men have eaten, and the share of the men who went with me. Let Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre to take their share. So the second king came and said, oh, give back my people. I will give you what you deserve, which is all the goods and the possessions that I brought back from me. Let me list out the difference between these two kings. The first king came and blessed and told him that this victory is given by God. And Abraham's response is to worship God. But the second one, the Sodom king said, whatever success that you have, I take back what is mine. I give your credit to you because you won the victory. I want to tell you how do we relate this to our personal life. In our daily life, we could end up in two choices. First, whatever that we do we give credits to God? Did we tell God, God, my success, my PO that I receive, the customer, the business deal that I close, the achievement that I have, everything that I have right now belongs to you? Is your natural response worshiping God in response with your adoration, with your love, with your reverence? The second one, King Sodom tells you, you get all the credits. You defeated the five kings. You get what you have. You get what you deserve. And sometimes we face such decision, whether I should worship God and tell God whatever that I have worked for, it is all God's credit or it is my credit. Probably you'll say, oh, the PO, I work very hard. I work on these customers for many years already, and I should have the credit in our heart. We'll say, well, actually, I work really hard. You see the differences? This could be difference in our response to God. But Abraham, he has chose well, and he has responded correctly because he know that it was God Most High that gave him the victory, that gave him the blessings. And thus, in response, he gave the 10% of whatever that he has to God. I want to tell you, this is the first time that the 10th offering, the tithe, has been mentioned in the Bible. It was not even regulated yet. It was not an obligation or anything. He just naturally knew that this is God. And I want to give a part of my possessions to God. Willingly. And that was his response. I think sometimes the hardest thing for us to surrender is our willpower and our let go of our control. I want to tell you guys a little bit story of mine. I hope you guys don't mind. I'm ranked in. I'm not saying rank. I'm second among my siblings, and I don't grow up in a very wealthy family. So when I was young, I know that if I need to have something, I need to work hard. Let's say I want a phone, I need to get part-times, and I need to get the money and get the phone. And if I want to do well in my studies, I have to do everything that I can to ensure that I study well. My parents, not to say they don't care, but they don't give that much of attention to me. So since young, what I struggle is, if I want to do well, I have to jaga myself. There's no safety net for me. And I'm a person of a very determined person. When I was young, my dream is to be a successful woman. When I was young, I want to be so rich that, that time, high school, I was so rich that when I go to the Sushi King, I don't have to look at the color of the plate. I just take on it. Okay. This group people, they know what I'm saying. Wow, just take, and then I don't have to, I swipe my card, don't have to look at the bill. I want to be that successful. I think my high school friend, Lynette, could testify for me. I want to be that kind. I want to be at the top. And then so I work really hard. What is the hardest thing for me to change when I become a Christian? Is that I have to surrender my life to God. Wow. It sounds easy. What? Every time we sing about the song, God, I surrender to you, God, I surrender to you. But truly, I want to say to you that it is hard for us to lose control of where our life is, life's directions to God, because we have no control. We don't know how it turns out. So after 10 years plus of being a believer, and finally, I have a revelation of who my God is as a father. Because in my heart, I don't have safety net. And one day, when I was reading the word that God is our father, I read that verse line. Many times we always sing about God as our father. But at that time, it just clicked to me. God is my father that will provide for me. Wow, then I suddenly think, then I don't have to fight so strong, so hard, because I have a God who is taking care of me. And since then, I changed, and I asked God to renew my mind, and I surrender bit by bit. And one day, I remember there's one day, I broke up with my ex-boyfriend. My husband knows. So I broke up with my ex-boyfriend, who was not a believer. He was not a believer that time. And I broke up with him because I don't want that kind of life anymore. I don't want that kind of life anymore because he was not a believer. I want a life that I can serve God for the rest of my life. I can stand up and say that I'm a Christian. I can serve God. My whole family can come to Christ and serve God. I want that kind of life. And I remember putting that past behind was so hard for me. I have to put down all my dreams. Dreams to be a successful businesswoman. Dreams to be very, very rich. Dreams to be doing whatever that I want. And I tell God, God, I want to build your church. I want to build your kingdom. I remember that time, I was just praying, and I cried, and I cried, and I cried. And I called Pastor Daniel that time, and I cried, and then he doesn't know what happened to me. I was just crying for 2-3 hours. I've never cried that long. And then I felt that God has cleansed me, purified me, that he knows my heart, that I want to build him, I want to build his church. And ever since then, I have to say that I'm not the richest person in this room, I'm sure. I'm not very successful as where I want to be, but I have a loving husband who can serve the Lord together with me in this family. I am very fulfilled. I'm very happy to be building his house in this place, and I have community who love God. But it was very hard. It was very hard for us to give control. It was very hard for us to surrender. It is very hard for us to just cut the past. What has happened, it has happened. And God will give us a new heart. God will give us a future. And God has bright plans and future for us. And everybody say, Amen. To my last point, to set ourselves apart for God, we must focus on the eternal, living as pilgrims in this world. To set ourselves apart for God, we must focus on the eternal, living as pilgrims in this world. That means whatever that you have right now, you definitely cannot bring it when you die. That's for sure. And thus, it's very refreshing and really happy for us who has an eternal life, who has an eternal home in heaven, who say that, wow, whatever that I work hard in this life, it shouldn't be just for this life. It should be for the eternal. I like what Joni Eareckson said this in her book, Heaven, Your Real Home. She said this: when a Christian realizes his citizenship it is in heaven, he begins acting as a responsible citizen of earth. He invests wisely in relationships because he knows that they are eternal. His conversations, his goals, his motives become pure and honest because he realizes these will have bearing on everlasting reward. When you know that your boss is there, not here. When you work, you know that even when your boss is not seeing you, you will still work like as if your boss sees you. If you know that your boss is watching over you, if you know that your boss is watching you from heaven, is watching you all the time, and you know that you don't have to be pretending anymore. You don't have to impress anyone anymore. You don't have to seek for approval anymore because he's watching you. And he's your ultimate boss, like the big boss, you know. One day, we all will see him. One day, whatever that we do is accountable to him. And then your standards of working will be different. You work diligently because you have a God who gives you strength, who gives you wisdom, who gives you peace, and still empower you. And he will reward you in heaven. In 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17, it says that, therefore, if any man is in Christ, he's a new creature, and the old things passed away, behold, new things have come. The Lord that we know works in our heart so that we have a total willingness to leave behind. I want to tell you that if it's not by the Holy Spirit, I will not leave my past. If it's not the Holy Spirit, you cannot leave your past as well. If we have unforgiveness, I tell you, guaranteed, conform.com chop stamp. You will need God's power to help you to leave your past behind. That means we need to come to him and tell him, these are my past. This is the things I cannot forgive. This is the things that I struggle with. God, please deal with this. I cannot anymore. It is in our weakness God shows us his strength. And thus, when we live as a pilgrim, that we know that the focus is not on earth anymore, it's on the eternal things, then we know that what do we need to do? That we have to ask God for strength. We have to ask God for wisdom. When I was thinking about these terms, pilgrims, it means somebody who is just, in Chinese it's called 朝圣者. That means the person who travel to the place where he can find God. We are like pilgrims that our directions is at the eternal. And while we are traveling, if you see Abraham's life, Abraham has been moving around with a different tent, they go to different places. When he encountered God, he'll build up the altar and he'll worship God there. He will continue and then he will build up the altar and he will worship there. And every time he pack up his bag, he knows that he doesn't know where to go, but God will call him and he doesn't have much. He doesn't have the fixed or permanent place to stay. He can move around. When he's in lack, he just calls for God. I remember 15 years ago where the church started. When I first joined the church only got 10 young people. When I first came to join the service, 10 young people jumping and then singing in an Inti lecture hall. If you study in Inti, you know the lecture hall. No, it's not even the lecture hall. It's a tutorial room, classroom only. I think Danny was there. Arthur was there. There are many people who join us. I think Abby is there as well. Abby was the one that led worship. And then, and that time, and then I was thinking, wow, we're so small. But okay, then soon we grow and then we move to different places. I had this conversation with Pastor last week. When we move from places to places, we know that whenever we need to expand to go to a new building, wow, it's a test of our faith. Because we are just a handful of youth who love God, give to God sacrificially, clear account that kind, and pray day and night, fasting, etc., just to see revival happen in the church. When we first moved here, Isaac was here. Isaac was here when he has to jaga the place to build out this place with the roof and everything. We have nothing much. We're just like probably 50, 60 people. Youth, the tithe and the offering, you can imagine the numbers. You know how to do calculation, like 500, 10 is like 50, 60 people, 3,000 each. It's not even, I don't know how crazy we were. We just know that, okay, we want to build God house. We want to get people, we want to preach the gospel. We want to bring a revival in this place. And then I remember we have many nights that we come here and pray, and then we bring up the air cooler because there was no aircon. The floor was so dusty, it was not carpeted because we haven't officially moved in yet. There's no big screen, no good lighting, no aircon. We just gather together and pray. And when we are in lack, we know that the only thing that we can depend on is God. And thus, that is why God asks us to be pilgrim, because we know that whatever that we have on us, it is not ours. We can only depend on God. Only depend on God. But now that we are all settled in, we have aircon, we have roof, we have lighting, we have big screen. A screen so big, it's much bigger than me. I can see the star here as well. But has our faith decreased? They will depend less on God, but more on ourselves. Depend more on the money that we can count. Depend on our businesses. People will say that we are in different season right now. Yes, we are in different season right now, but we have the same God. That God should be still the most high, most powerful, the God who saved us, redeemed us, and also still be with us as of today. So this morning, this is just the first part of the message where we have to set ourselves apart, but leaving the sin behind, leaving the world, separate ourselves from the world. But I want to challenge you guys. I want to encourage you guys that I know maybe many of us, we've been Christian for some time, but if God has not changed you or transformed you in the way that you know it, I think it is time for us to come back to God. We cannot hold the things of the world one hand, but on the other hand, we want God's blessing. We cannot say, God, we want your presence, but on the hand, no, I have my own way. I want my own thing. I want to do in my approach. We cannot do that. We cannot serve two masters. So I want to encourage you. As we're going to sing the song again, God, I choose to be holy. Can our response be like Abraham's response? God, I give you my heart. You are the one that gives us the victory. You are the one that gives us life. You are the one that gives us all the success that I'm enjoying right now. You're the one that gave us the aircons, the provision, nice seating, comfortable aircon. All the food that is on the table, all the Mercedes that you guys are driving, maybe not, but yes, all of this, all the big house that we are staying in, all of this belongs to you. And that is our worship.